Hello, I'm Lowell Speers. Today we're going to do Clematis. Let's go for it. Let me run you through this palette here one time. Titanium white, yellow ochre, cad yellow, burnt sienna. Notice how I got them pulled down. It makes it a lot easier to load your brush, and also on some of the darker colors you can tell the color a little better when it's down a little thinner. And a flower base here, I've got 4 soft white, 1/2 part Van Dyke brown. It's mixed up fairly well. And the leaf and the stem base here is 1 part background base, which is this, and 40 parts. No, I made a mistake. I got 4 there. 4 parts cad yellow, and a background base here: 5 black, 2 violet, and 1 phthalo green. And I'm gonna show you on my knife how I arrived at mixing these parts here. So I'll show you how I made this flower base color here. It said there was 4 soft whites and 1/2 Van Dyke brown. So I just squeezed out a portion here that I thought I would need to do the job, and for lengthwise, and then I established that as 1 part. Now it says 1/2 Van Dyke brown, so that means I'm going to take 1/2 of this part. And here we go. I'll just squeeze it right out. Half of that there white, and I'll just cut it off. And then I just mix it up on the palette. If you do that, you're going to be able to match the colors that I used in my painting. So I've already got Magic Clear on, and a good idea to do is take a towel after you put your Magic Clear on and just go over top of it, just lightly, remove the excess. It's still in the grain of the canvas. All right, I'm gonna take this here filbert brush. I got a filbert brush here for a sketch. I'm gonna sketch in the clematis here. I'm gonna do one here looking at you, and maybe one tipped up just a little bit here. So I'm going to take the brush and put a little bit of thinner in it, and a little bit of the background vase color just to make the sketch. Very light, mostly thinner. And let's go here. If you want to, this is probably a good idea. You can make a little tiny mark where the center is. That'll establish your center of your flower. And then you can put your petals in from that and direct them right to it. Now, on this clematis, there's 8 petals. So if you want to, you can do one across the other side, see? And this would be the same way. You can do it this way. That'd be a good way to divide it up into 8s. And that's the basic shape of them. And the one up on the top side up here, we're going to tip it up a little bit. So let's put one here. This might give you a little problem, a little tougher. Just make these petals a little shorter on the back side here. Maybe hide 1 or 2 there. It looks a little bit like a poinsettia, just a little bit. And then we're gonna paint them in, and we'll put some leaves around there. We're not going to put any stems in. We're just going to have it kind of looking at you. So the next thing we're going to do is take a petal brush. That's a bristle brush, and use this flower base color we got mixed up here. And we're going to paint in all of them areas that we sketched there. Let's just paint that right on top. Put it fairly thin. This background is real dark that's going on here, so we're going to paint the flower first since it's white. There's lots and lots of different kinds of clematis. And they're like a vine, they grow like a vine. So keep this pretty thin, because we have to paint on top of it. But in order to show some of the shadows and stuff, you need to put this darker color on first. So we'll just fill all of this in on both of the flowers. And we'll see how much time we got. We may add a couple little wildflowers or something there. We'll just see how it goes. And do this one on the front. It's a little bit shorter here. Let's see if I got 8 on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only got 7. Well, one must be hid behind there somewhere. And when we start cutting the background in, we can also change the shapes of these petals a little bit. Let's sneak one right back there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is take a, let's go with the large leaf brush now. If you thought you had an uneven buildup of paint, this is a pretty good idea to do. Is to make it all in the same plane by just lightly going over it with a hake brush. Just soften it. Don't matter if you pull it out in the background a little bit. Wouldn't hurt a thing. Now it's all equal thickness of paint on there. It'd be easier to paint on. It also would remove a little excess also. And on our for our highlight, let's use soft white and a little touch of yellow ochre. It's better to put a little bit of yellow in when you're using white. It kind of warms it up and it doesn't look so stark looking. All right, let's start right here on this one here. Let's just start like that. Now right now it's against that white canvas, so it's not going to look as white till we get our dark color on there. And all we got to do is just fill it in a little bit. Wouldn't matter where you start, just fill in the light right on top of the dark. Some of the dark's coming through there, and that's okay. Right on the center of some of these, we'll pull some of the dark back out by just going over top of it. I'll do that just in a little bit. And even after we do our background, we could still come back in and add more to it if we wanted to. Okay, let's go up here and do this little one. This one just a little bit smaller. Actually, the flower is probably the easiest part. I think probably the hardest part is cutting the background around the flower. And you don't have to stick to your shape there. You can leave some of the dark because we'll paint over top of that with our dark background. And these tips on these they're fairly sharp on the end. Let's go back down at this one here again. Now I'll go back into my flower base and put just a little bit of that dark color on. And I'm going to pull some of these lines through the center here. See, notice the little line that goes through there. So I just loaded a little bit of the flower base in there. Use the corner of the brush and just pull that line in there. It didn't show up that time. So I'll just make it a little bit darker. In here. Showing up now. And these come in quite a few different colors. But white's kind of a nice color. It's a little tougher color to paint, but okay. Next step is go with our background base. And what I'm going to do is right around the flower area, I'm going to thin the paint down just a little bit. I just dipped it in a little bit of thinner, and I'm going to take and thin it down just a little bit. If you thin your paint down a little bit, I got it just a little too thin. So if I was going to do that, I would just wipe it off and start again. So it's fairly thin. And it'll cover the canvas quite a lot easier. So now let's just come right in here and start cutting in here. Now this is a chance for you if you want to sharpen or bend the petal a little bit. See how I made it curve around there? See, now it's starting to look pretty punchy. And I chose this brush because you can get a nice sharp edge on it, and you can pull it into the in between there. Like this. You can start right off like that. So I'm sharpening the ends up and pretty sharp. And of course, once I get that filled up, or that area in there, then I can just start painting fairly loose then. Now you might find it easier once you get up higher, you might want to turn your canvas over. Might be easier to do. Nothing wrong with that. Let's go right up to this one up here. So just doing the same thing. I know this gets to be old, but you got to do it. And what we're going to do after we get this on here is we're going to soften some of this black into the edge of the flower. What we're going to do is we're going to pull both the colors together. By going over both of the paints at the same time, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Sometimes you need to hold your breath a little bit when you go into a tight area. Like this right here. Once we get this on around the flower, and then maybe I'll take a bigger brush or take a bristle brush. My suggestion would be on this large leaf brush, the sable brush, to avoid wearing it out as much. A good idea would be to use the bristle brush for the hard work. And that's what we're going to do. But this brush works a little better for cutting it in. So we've kind of got our basic shapes down pretty good. Maybe I'll pull this in a little further here and there. Okay, this is what I call a background brush, and mainly I use it for backgrounds, and it's just a bristle brush. So we just go back into our background base, load it up pretty heavy, and let's just go up and fill in the areas. Maybe we want an area of some light filtering through the back. We'll just leave an opening for that. Maybe like up in here, maybe in this area I'll leave an area open. Again, I just thinned it down just a little bit, make it spread just a little easier. I'm putting it on pretty thick, just so that the grain of the canvas doesn't show through. Now you could do the same painting. You could have done it on a black canvas or one that's been prepared with a black acrylic. In that case, I would have put the magic clear right on top of the black acrylic, and then I would have just painted right on top of that with my white. But I want to show you another way to do it. If you looked at the many flower books and stuff, if you notice that when they photograph a lot of them, they use lots of dark backgrounds. So that's why I chose a lot of dark backgrounds in my florals. Okay, I said I was going to add a little light up there. I'll just leave the color that's in the brush, and let's go right into our flower base color. And let's just paint right up next to this by Xing this color right into the darker color. You see, well, I got a hard line there now. You see, how to get rid of that hard line is just to go right over that line with X's. Go into the dark, back up into the light. Again, just loading it up again with that flower base color, but the black's still in the brush. Now you could also do this, even on top of your dark. Say you want another area of light showing, maybe over here. You could exit right on top of the dark. Just shows what else you could do. Okay, let's go into some of our leaves now. Let's go back to our sable brush. And let's put in some of our leaves. Load the brush nice and smooth. Now this is just strictly a base color. We can add to this, make it lighter with more cad yellow or yellow ochre. Let's see what it looks like. Make any adjustments we want. Okay, if I want to keep some distant leaves, I'm going to leave them dark, okay? And I'm going to do a bunch of these and I'll describe it for you a little bit, what I'm doing. And let's do a couple bigger leaves too. But they're kind of back here in the distance. They're not, you don't see them too plain, but yeah, you do see them. And that's going to create some distance in your painting, depth. When I get to the light leaves, I'll describe this for you, so it'll show up a little better. But right now I'm just adding them in there and let them kind of, okay. Now to make it lighter, let's just go right into cad yellow. guess I touched that burnt sienna, but that's all right. Little more cad yellow. Make it a little bit lighter. Now, if you feel like that your paint's going to be a little too thick and it doesn't, let me just see how it feels. Yeah, just dip your brush into the clear. I got it right over here. I'll just dip it into clear. I'm thin it down just a little bit. Let's add a little more cad yellow to it. And a little lighter yet by adding white. But I'm going to mix it pretty good here. Okay, let me go through this step with you a little bit as far as how to make a leaf. See this leaf right here? We're going to do one of them like that. Lean the brush towards the way the stem is growing. And lean it down from the round. That means away from this area, down from the round. And then rotate the brush out like this. Line this tip of the brush up with the end of the stem. You hit it, and then you just twist it right over like that. And then on the side, you hold it away from the stem, lean it down from the round, and twist it over. On the bigger leaf, you do the same thing. All this, you lean it toward the stem, down from the round, rotate it out, make the first stroke exactly like them. From then on, it's just overlapping strokes. Stop the stroke right at the center vein. You can go without reloading and get another value because it's picked up more of the background color and it will become darker. So just cad yellow and white again. And let's put some of these leaves right over the top. And a few up here. Let's get a little bit lighter. Let's add more cad yellow and white to that mixture. Get them just a little bit lighter so they're sticking out just a little bit. That's better. I can see right now we're probably not going to get any wildflowers in here, but we got to do our centers yet. And also I said I was going to soften them edges. I'm going to just show you a little bit how to do that. Soften some of these edges into it. This is a Hake brush and you can soften them right into the background like that. Just go over both of them at the same time. That'll soften the edge up a little bit. Now you can do this with the sable brush also. Just soften the edges up. And if you pull a little dark in there, that's fine. That'll make the petal look like it's curved over a little bit. And on our centers here, I'm going to take, this is the filbert brush, and a little burnt sienna, a little yellow ochre. And let's put a little dot right in here of color. Also right up here. And then we're going to thin some of that same color down using the liner brush. A little more sienna there. And let's put in some little stamen. You can hold your hand against your easel. Pull in some little stamen on them. Also on this one. Right in the center, I'm going to make it just a little bit darker by going back into pretty much burnt sienna like that. On this one too. And then on the front of that, I'll just take soft white and a little yellow ochre. But I'm using a little more yellow ochre in it. And then I'll pull a few lighter ones out. that. Okay, now with the liner brush, I'm going into my lighter yellow now, and we're going to add some grass and some stems there. And let's just come right out here and let's make a few of these type of things, little pigtails or whatever you want to call them. This kind of gives it the finished look. Don't be afraid to paint over top of the flower. Now there's a balance here that we'll look for, and it's starting to come. And on a couple of these, well, again, we'll lighten up this color. And we'll put a few lighter ones out here. Just on a few of these. Maybe over here. For balance, maybe a couple down here. A few way up here. I know I'm running this camera crazy, running back and forth, but I like to paint all over the canvas. But they're good to me, though. So, I don't know what else we can do, but hope you enjoyed the show. I sure enjoyed showing it to you. Thank you very much now. Goodbye.